Well, whenever Brother Wayne asked me to speak for him several weeks ago, it's been a while, I said I would. I thought that was a mistake or not, because ever since I told him I would, and I've been having trouble with it, because nothing just seems to line out like I want it to. And so I told Brother Wayne, well, this is going to be a mess, and they'll just have to take it and put it all together like an omelet and stick it in the oven and let it bake, and then take it home and eat it for a while. But a while back, I asked God, I said, man, I wish I could preach like Brother Wayne. And I wish I could pray like Brother Wayne. I mean, I listen to him pray, and he doesn't hesitate on his words or anything. He knows what he's wanting to say. And when he preaches, he knows what he wants to preach. I mean, he preaches with authority. He studied his word. And God told me, he said, Steve, you can do it. You can go ahead and preach like Brother Wayne. You can go ahead and pray like Brother Wayne. And I said, all right. And then he said, but. And that buts come in there, and something's coming up. If you're going to preach like Brother Wayne, I want you to study the Word like Brother Wayne. If we feel that this Bible is the Word of God, and I believe that it is, and if we believe that this Bible was inspired by God, and His men wrote it down, and I believe it, I don't know why it's so hard to take out time every day and study His Word, but it almost seems impossible. So when God told me, He said, if you're going to preach like Brother Wayne, you got to study like Brother Wayne. If you want to pray like Brother Wayne, you got to pray like Brother Wayne. You got to pray. You got to talk to me. Prayer is a means of communication between you and God. Yes. And it's not communication if you don't listen to whatever it is He's got to say to you too. We can go to God and we can pray to Him, and we can say, all of our infirmities that we have, our problems that we have, we can go to Him. But then in return, we need to listen to what it is that He has to say to us. And there is so much truth out there in the world that there is a God. And yet men still refuse to accept it like what it is. And so, he did, I brought a paper. Yes. I know Brother Ray, you bring his papers up here all the time. But it's a little cartoon. And on one side of the cartoon, you've got it says, you've got a tour guide, and he's telling people, he's explaining the 4 faces on Mount Rushmore. And he says, these 4 faces on Mount Rushmore are the result of millions of years of nature at work. Things like glaciers and lightning made them. And then the people that are standing out there in his audience are telling him, you've got to be crazy. This man ought to be fired for what he's saying. That's ridiculous that time and glaciers and erosion could cause those faces. And yet, on the other side of the cartoon here, you've got a professor standing up there, and the outline of a human body, and he says the human body is the result of millions of years of nature at work. Things like the Big Bang and mutations made you. And people will believe it. I mean, they can take their little magic wand and say millions of years did this, and for some reason people will accept it, that what he's saying is true. And look how much more complicated your face is than the faces on Mount Rushmore. I mean, just the eyeball itself, to think that there wasn't a designer behind it, it's unthinkable for me. I mean, I can't even imagine why somebody would believe that way. Put my notes somewhere here. I was going to try to talk a little bit today, and this all came about just, I wanted to take and try to line something out, but there always seemed like something came up. Brian and his family came down, which is good. I want to see Brian. Yesterday, I wasn't going to go to work, but Friday night, they called me, and the inmates flushed clothing down a toilet, plug up a line. So I told Sharon, I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and go into work and get that. Well, that took me all day to straighten that out. And so finally this morning, I was able to sit down for a little while and try to get something lined out here, or just at least something that we can talk about. Because, I don't know, sometimes, I know just today, coming here, I made a bunch of mistakes. I mean, my daughter-in-law, I love her a whole bunch. And she came to church with me this morning. And when I opened the door, you know, she had on a little short dress. And so I said something. And I shouldn't have. I mean, if she's going to come to church with me, I ought to be thrilled the fact that she's coming to church with me. Let God worry about her clothing and stuff. That's not my place. I was totally out of line. And I apologize. But anyway, back to what I'm going to try to bring out a little bit here today. Luke 11 and 52. And I got Sharon's Bible up here. Mama, see this? All of my tabs are gone. That's what you can buy for me for Christmas, a new Bible. I never did get my $5 for my birthday either. And that $5 won't even pay for a haircut no more. It costs $10 for a haircut.
You ain't got much to worry about.
Yeah, but they still charge me the same. Luke 11 and 5. I told Brother Wayne last week I have a problem sometimes when a pastor or him, whenever he's preaching, he'll come up with send me to a verse, and he's preaching about that verse, and it's real interesting, and I like what he's doing, and sometimes I'll read, you know, a few before it, or maybe a few after it, when I start reading it and continue to read it. And he said, well, that may not be too bad of a habit. And I said, well, it is whenever the young man that was, I said young man, he might be as old as me, I don't know, that was preaching in his place that one Sunday, and I was sitting out there, I told him he sent us to a chapter and a verse, and I was reading it, and it was interesting. So when he finished talking about that particular verse, I kept reading for a while, and then I guess he said something to me, and here I was, I had my head down, I was reading. Finally, the wife hits me, and I look at her and say, "Hon," he said, "his name is Steve." and so sometimes I don't pay attention like I should. Okay, Luke 11:5. No, excuse me, got the wrong one. It was 52. I see a 5 and a 2 there. It was 52. It says, "Woe unto you lawyers, for ye have taken away the key of knowledge. Ye are not in yourselves, and then that were entering in ye hindered." It says in the Bible that we are destroyed for lack of knowledge. This lack of knowledge that we have is not the lack of knowledge of the world. It's the lack of the knowledge of the Word of God. That's what we need to. Man, I've heard, in fact, I even think I've heard Brother Wayne say that man's knowledge nowadays is increasing at an astronomical rate. I mean, he doubles his knowledge. It's not, used to is every so many years man would double his knowledge. And then it got down with the computer